Welcome to Extended Family Living, Homesteading on an Acre. This week's episode, Preparing for Winter. Music, Blue Mountains by Gabriel Witcher, filmed and edited by Michel Gontier. We're going to start off with taking care of the hoses.
This is just the silver hoses. No, there's not enough for the whole garden.
Taking care of the silver hoses. 2 wheels worth. Every now and then you have to replace some because they get run over by lawnmowers.
Like this one. Chopped off. It was broken, so it got repaired. And then it got chopped off.
If you have to have a lot of hoses for your property so you can have proper irrigation and watering systems, I strongly suggest getting hose reels.
Yeah.
Things with wheels.
These giant hose reels like these aren't giant, but a lot of people around here call them giant. Most people I know don't have big gardens or what they call big gardens. I consider small, but
Yeah, like for us, the gardens that we have here and have had here during the summer have been small gardens.
and yes, sometimes you break the connection when you roll them up or unroll them because you hook them together. So it's easier to unroll them in the spring.
As you can tell by his breathing, this is not an easy job. However, it's a necessary job if you want things to be taken care of neatly.
It needs more hoses on this hose reel because it won't fit both of those on the other hose reel. So,
I thought we needed to keep one open so we could fill the duck pond. Are we disconnecting all of them today? Or do we leave any of them out? I'm asking.
someone's over tightening it again. Sometimes. You can use the top of the post to lock it against the plastic enough so you can undo it.
Oh, okay.
He just explained how to release the nozzle when the nozzle is not coming off your hose. And now he removes the nozzle from the hose, removes the one length of hose from the other hose, puts the nozzle back on the other hose, and drains the hose that he just removed. This is so that we do not have any water freezing in these over the winter. He connects it onto the hose reel and takes care of it.
This one will fit on the other hose reel.
Okay.
This will be the last one going up. Although, go on this one, but 5 gallons of water to carry from way up there to down in here is not fun
Nope.
for anyone. I don't care how much you're like lifting weight even. It's just not a fun job.
Here he's connecting the hose onto the other hose on the hose reel to make it easier to wind it up. This also makes it easier for unrolling them and laying them out in your gardens and walkways come spring.
As you can see, there's plenty of room for another hose. These are supposed to take, I think it is 8 50-footers. I think I got 10 or 12 on them. But that's with no water in them, rolled up tight. And just stored that way. There's no, we don't run water through them when they're on the reels.
Now we switch to me preparing some potatoes that we're going to can. The reason why that we take care of our hoses and hose rails before the winter hits is so that we don't have frozen water in them. When it gets too cold to have a hose out anymore, we'll make sure they're all drained, and we end up carrying 5-gallon buckets of water out to do the watering. So here I've cut up some potatoes, and my mom's going to fill them into the jars, and we're going to do a small canning load. These are the potatoes that we got from our garden, the volunteers that were in the compost. And we also had a small amount left over from some that we had in the house, so we decided to can those too. So when I'm slicing potatoes, I like to make sure I have a flat edge when I'm slicing them. Sometimes when my mom peels them, she uses a knife and she creates a flat edge, so I don't have to slice off an edge. But usually I slice off one edge so that I have that flat surface. And then I cut these potatoes into slices about a little over a 1/4 inch thick. And then I take them, and after I've sliced them, I cube them. This makes it very handy so that if we want to do soups or salads, we have them already cut into the shapes that we want them and the sizes. It's not perfection, but this is our own home canning. We're not selling this or anything. We're just making it for our own use. So it doesn't matter. And besides, everybody likes a little bit of variety. So here I continue the job of slicing these potatoes up, which I actually enjoy. I tend to like the process. It gets a bit overwhelming when you get like 400 pounds of something at a time that you got to process if it's just one person doing it. But when you have more than one person working on it, it's not as overwhelming, and it becomes a very fun event to do. And as an extended family, I get the enjoyment of doing the canning with my mom. And I get to either listen to a book with her or music, or we'll sing together while we're doing the canning. Or sometimes I can just glean from her more and more wisdom. Actually, I can always glean from her more and more wisdom. However, there's just something about doing that when you're canning. Listening to the stories of yesterday and days gone by, and listening to things about insights of things that you might have missed when you were growing up, and learning just little things. Everything matters. When you have multi-generations working together, it makes the biggest impact because you get to learn so much, and you can make it a really fun task. Sharing the job of canning with multiple generations, friends, family, and with people who want to learn from you is a very fun task. This is something that is memorable. You'll never forget it. As I'm reminded by one of my cousin's children saying, "Do you remember when?" as she came over with her mom and helped us out with canning when she was just a little girl. And now there are other people who have helped out and enjoyed because they wanted to learn how to can. It is a memorable task. It's something I can remember very vividly from my childhood and from being an adult. And it's something that I enjoy. It's a great time to spend with older and younger generations. Here my mom is continuing to fill the jars with the potatoes. She uses a stainless steel funnel that sits just inside the jar at the bottom of it and is wider than the jar at the top. We put the food into the jars using a funnel. This way we can keep the rim of the jar cleaner. When we got the jar full, we then switch to the next jar and fill that one up. After we've filled them up with the food, we then add the water if it's necessary for the job that we're canning. We're canning potatoes here, so we do fill them up with water. We also put a half teaspoon of salt or quarter teaspoon of salt in each jar for preservation's sake. And then we wipe each jar rim clean. And then we put the lid, which is also the seal, and then the ring on, which holds the seal on in place when you're canning. And then we put them into the pressure canners. And then after we put them in the pressure canner, we add the water just about an inch below the neck of the bottle. And then we put them in for so many minutes under pressure because we close the canners and we put the weight on them, and we have
Does that need water? Yeah, they do need water.
we have the gauge
Water in just a minute.
on it. And then we take them and we can them. I'm not exactly sure the amount of time that we can them for when we have the pressure gauge on, and I'm not exactly sure what pound of weight that we're supposed to have in this. When I'm canning, I personally use the pressure cooker style canning because I can't see the gauges. So I have to go by pounds of pressure by using a pressure weight instead of going by the gauge on the larger canners. And then my mom uses the gauge because she can see that. Who knows, maybe I'll get a device so I can see it in the future. I have no clue. But that would be nice. Here, everybody except me is putting the truck that broke down on Mom and me back into its parking spot. You see my dad, my nephew, and my mom pushing it in place at the front, and my brother Etienne is using his leg to push it in place while he's steering the thing. That's just part of life, broken down vehicles. And now you see my mom splitting wood. She's getting the wood prepared for us for winter. She wanted to see how much she could get done before the guys got back. And I think she did pretty good. So the basic gist of a wood splitter is that you take this big chunk of wood that's too big to fit in your wood stove and you sit it on the platform on the wood splitter. You either push a button or you pull a lever and then it splits your wood. It makes it into usable chunks that you can put into your wood stove. And depending on the size wood splitter to how many chunks it can make. Some of them make only 2 or 4. Some of them can make up to 6 or 8 pieces. Those are quite bigger. I don't personally help with the wood splitting. This is a task that my mom enjoys and my dad enjoys and everybody else does. While they're doing this, I'm usually doing something else inside. So I could be sweeping, vacuuming, doing dishes or other things, as you've seen in past episodes if you have been watching my videos for any length of time. If you haven't, go ahead back and watch some of the old ones. Some of my first videos on this channel were of us preparing for winter. So as I talk, my mom is continuing doing the wood splitting. This is something, like I said, that she really enjoys. Now here's a photo of a leaf that's in my hand in its beautiful color, and 2 photos of sunsets. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.